My first question is, how do you see your role as First Ladies?
Thank you. How do I see my role as a First Lady? Perhaps let me begin by saying that I come from Malawi, and Malawi is in the southern part of Africa. It's bordered by Tanzania up north, Zambia in the west, and Mozambique in the east and southern part. Now to the question. I see myself as a wife to the president. I see myself as a mother to my biological children, as well as to the children that we look after in the house. But further to that, I also see myself as a mother to the nation, because everybody calls me Amai, Amai, and Amai means my mother, my mother. So who could not accept if you were offered children? Children are so sweet. So I see myself as a mother to the nation. But further to that, I also see myself as a campaigner of women's issues. Issues to deal with clean water, because we know that water is life. Clean water is very important, more especially for the woman. So I want to see women have clean water, but also issues of education. Education is very important for the girl child and for the women, so that they are able to make informed decisions and so on and so forth. We know all about that. But I also see myself having a role of ensuring that the women in my country have food in their homes. And I think these issues, they come natural to me, perhaps because of my background, the environment where I live in. You know, I think most women would take up these issues if they lived in a country like Malawi. Thank you.
Let me tell you that Callista was a member of parliament, then became a member of the president's cabinet, and then married. So she has a little bit of an interesting background. And the First Lady from First Lady Koroma, is it a different role in the last 10 years, the last 25 years, with regard to your being a First Lady?
Well, I would say over the past 10 years, Sierra Leone is coming out of a civil war. It is categorized as a post-conflict country. The state was devoid of a First Lady simply because she died. Now, there is a vacuum. Even before she died, First Lady's role was mainly humanitarian, charitable, and philanthropic acts. They were housewives who just supported their spouses, or they were just present on state functions. Yeah.
And I know that's not what you're doing now.
Yes.
Go on, tell them about it. What do you think your role is as First Lady?
Well, my role is very similar to my sister in Malawi. My nation call me Mama for short, because I'm the mother of the nation. I also regard myself as a grandmother of the nation and a sister to the younger females. The role is simple. I complement the president's efforts or my husband's effort. And because of our unique position of being First Ladies, we can influence both the people and those who govern. As a result, I'm involved in a lot of advocacy work. I raise the awareness of any issue affecting the health and well-being of my people.
How did you figure out, both of you, what to focus on? First Lady Mutharika?
Thank you. I think having been brought up in that African environment, and also seeing the problems that women face, especially having faced face to face with somebody, say, dying because of lack of medical facilities whilst giving birth, and also knowing some friends who have died whilst giving birth. I think any one of us, would take up that challenge to see to it that no one dies whilst giving birth. And also, walking throughout the villages in Malawi on a weekday, and you meet a school-going child and you ask them as to why they are not in school, and they give you one of these answers: I am too hungry to go to school. That's why I can't go, because even if I went to school, I wouldn't be able to understand what the teacher will be saying. Or they give you an answer like, I have no clothes to wear to go to school. Or, I have no notebook to write on, no pencil to use. So, madam, I can't go to school. What would you do? You would be forced to do something about it. And therefore, I chose issues to do with safe motherhood, issues to do with vulnerable children, issues to do with the empowerment of women, because of what I face as a woman, of what we all face as women.
What do you find some of the barriers are that you have to overcome? First Lady Koroma.
Well, Sierra Leone is a small country, but 52% of the population are females. 70% live in the rural areas where they live on subsistence farming. There's a high illiteracy, high fertility rate. Women cannot make decisions about their health due to cultural barriers and norms and taboos in certain areas. For no reasons, girls are not allowed to go to school in certain areas. So these are all barriers. Communication could be a barrier. When you raise the profile a bit, technology is absent. We need help in those areas. And it's a male-dominant world. We still have glass ceilings to break. Women are still marginalized. Most of them are the rural poor, where the problem is. So there's a lot of barriers.
Also, I think there are many things that you alluded to them, that we don't think of, that so many girls don't go to school if they are menstruating. They don't have the facilities to do that. So much of a day in a woman's life involves time poverty, taking 3, 4, 5 hours to get clean water. What are some of the areas that you've worked on where you've found successes?
In Malawi, if we go to secondary schools, we find that girls' enrollment is only at 26%. So I made it a point that I go to secondary schools and inspire girls to stay in school despite all the problems. One of them is the one that you've just mentioned, that sometimes you don't find that there are enough sanitation facilities for the girls, and so they drop out. But another problem I think that we have in the country, and that I'm working on, is the fact that as we are seated in here, out of 100,000, let me start by saying 807 women out of every 100,000 dies whilst giving birth. And that is, if you put it in simple terms, that is about 1 in 8 or 1 in 9. who wouldn't do something about it if you had the privilege and the position and the power, to be able to change that scenario? And that's what I'm doing at the moment. That's why I established the safe motherhood. But also, in a country of 14 million people, you find that about 1 million of that population is HIV positive. And about 1 million children are orphaned. And about 500,000 families are child-headed, meaning the oldest in the family is under the age of 16. Both parents have died. Would you not be forced to do something? Most of us would be forced to do something. So I'm working with vulnerable children as well.
And what results can you share with us?
Sierra Leone, I have been an advocate on maternal health issues because one of the worst things that could ever happen to anybody is to die of childbirth or to lose a baby when you give birth. So I've been an avid campaigner. When my husband came to office in 2007, we had a maternal mortality rate of 1,300 per 100,000 live births. Our most recent demographic studies show that we have 857 per 100,000 live births. And that is due to the intervention of an office I've created, an office of the First Lady of Sierra Leone, which is a novelty. I've worked with the Ministry, government of Sierra Leone, a plethora of UN partners, in particular UNFPA, and a host of other donors.
And I know that you are all trying to get together as First Ladies and figure out how you can bring best case practices together for the continent. Would you like to comment on that?
Yes. First of all, you had that question regarding whether the role of the First Lady has changed or not. And perhaps I would say it is changing, because the First Ladies of the past in Africa were not doing the sort of things that we are doing now. So we find, and people like yourself anyway, Women's Campaign International, Rockefeller Foundation, are in the forefront telling us that we, or the First Ladies of Africa, you now must realize that it is important to bear in mind the fact that you have to leave a legacy. So now the word legacy is coming into us, and we are learning to work towards ensuring that we leave a legacy after we have left office. And everybody wants a good reputation. Everybody wants to be remembered for something else. And that's what we are trying to do. We want everybody to remember us for the good things that we have done. So you'll find that we are now beginning to be changed people.
Thank you very much, both of you.
Thank you, Marjorie.